Listen, not everyone can get a role in the investment banking division of a large bank, but what other roles can you do that's still worth your time? And in this video, I'm going to break down some roles I think you still apply for, and for each role, I want to talk about what the role is, the pay, subjects required for the role, difficulty of getting the role, and the exit opportunities. Let's dive into it. The first role you still consider is sales and trading. At the most basic level, what exactly is sales and trading? The role of sales is to sell financial products to its clients, and the role of trading is to execute client orders or to hedge bilateral counterparty risk. In terms of pay, if you work for a large investment bank, the pay isn't that dissimilar to if you work in IBD. Based on the recent figures by eFinancial Careers, you can expect to earn at least £50,000 to £60,000 if you work for a big bank and you work in the sales and trading department. In terms of subjects required, this really depends if it's a sales or trading role. If you want to be in sales, this is one division where I'll say it really doesn't matter what you studied, because it's more about being able to communicate to the client what exactly the products are. And honestly, if you study music, history, finance, economics, as long as you can learn financial products and communicate effectively, you can really do this job. So it's one place I'd say if you did a communications major, still apply. Obviously, if someone did economics versus communications, all things being equal, you take the person who has an economics degree. So that's still the fact. Now, in terms of trading, there's also one division where it really doesn't matter what you studied, apart from if you want to do some sort of quantitative trading, and then you need to have an MSc or PhD in financial engineering, physics, math, more or less all the quantity stuff. You need to have an advanced degree. But for being a cash equities trader or like an F&O trader, you really don't need any advanced degree. You can more or less have studied anything, and it's just about being able to show that you understand financial markets very well. When it comes to exit opportunities, for most people that work in sales and trading, they end up going to hedge funds like Jane Street, or they start their own firm most of the time, but it's one role where exit opportunities are not as much as IBD. The next role is equity research. So what exactly is the job of an equity research analyst? Is more or less to analyze stocks and to come up with a buy, hold, or sell opinion. And yeah, that's more or less what they do. In terms of pay, quite similar to sales and trading, because those two roles are in the global markets division of banks, so they more or less get paid around the same thing. In terms of equity research, I'd say there's more of a bias towards having a quantitative degree over sales and trading, which might sound funny. It's just because for equity research, you're looking at a lot of financials and then coming up with an opinion. So if you study accounting, economics, math, it's more of a bias that those people are able to perform better during the interview. And also, for example, a lot of times, because of the way equity research divisions are structured, might be someone covering mining, and if in your BSc you did chemical engineering or even a mining degree, then you actually have a high chance of getting that role because you understand how the mining market works. So when you're actually looking at financials for a mining company, you know exactly what to look for. And in the same breath, if you study BSc chemical engineering and you apply for an equity research role and you're going to cover oil companies, also you stand a high chance of getting that role because you understand the oil market more. So for equity research, it's about having both the accounting knowledge, the macro knowledge, but also the specific industry knowledge. That goes a long way. And when it comes to exit opportunities, most people end up going to hedge funds, credit agencies such as Moody's, S&P, or even specific research houses, or they end up even starting their own firm. The next role is an investment banking risk analyst, and that could be market, credit, or even a country risk analyst. And the pay is definitely not as much as if you work in global markets or in M&A or in ECM, but the pay is definitely above average in the UK. If you just go to Glassdoor and see the figures there, people earn at least 40k, 50k sometimes, so pay is quite good. I would say in terms of the skills required or what you should study, for market and credit risk, I would say if you have a quantitative degree, you stand a high chance of getting the role. But in terms of country risk, which is more or less looking at the risk of a country, if you study politics, government relations, international relations, history, geography, those roles also tend to do well in country risk applications. In terms of exit opportunities, I would say apart from IBD, being in risk has the second most. If you work in market risk, you can end up becoming a trader, working in a hedge fund, working in asset management. Literally, you can work anywhere. But credit risk, same thing. You can move into IBD, you can move into corporate banking. More or less, being in risk opens the door into a wide range of professions. Hope you're enjoying the video so far, guys. Please drop a like and leave a comment. It goes a long way. The next role is Treasury, and they more or less handle all the funding of the bank. And in terms of pay, I actually have no idea what they get paid. They'll definitely get paid more than accountants, so more than 30k, but not as much as people that work in risk, if I was to guess. And in terms of subjects required, finance, accounting, math, more or less a quantitative degree will suit this role quite well. And in terms of exit opportunities, there's quite a lot you can do if you work in Treasury. You can end up becoming a trader, you can end up working in hedge funds, you can end up working in risk like market risk or credit risk, you can end up even moving to IBD if you're able to land that role. I think working in Treasury opens the door for you to become more or less anything in the bank, because you know how the bank makes money and you know how the bank funds the activity. So that knowledge is literally required for any role. So I think it's quite a good role to start off your career in. Now, a role a lot of people don't talk about is strategy and consulting for an investment bank. And yes, they're consultants that work for investment banks. And what they actually do, you're more or less the one that's going to be trying to drive the firm's strategic priorities. What does it actually mean? You're the one going to decide, should the bank acquire this company? Should the bank invest in that? Like more or less those strategic decisions, you're the one going to be handling it. In terms of pay, the pay will probably be quite good, but not as much as BCG, Bain, or McKinsey, but definitely above average. For subjects required, honestly, as a consultant, you can study anything. I've seen people study music, photography, communications. It's one role where it really doesn't matter what you studied. Like, honestly, it really doesn't. In terms of difficulty of getting the role, a lot of times consultant roles for banks, people literally move laterally within the bank and that's how they get hired. I rarely see any open consultant roles, especially at the analyst level. But in terms of exit opportunities, this is quite big. You end up going to IBD, moving to a proper consulting firm, starting your own consulting firm, even venture capital, private equity. More or less, this actually opens you up to a wide range of professions. And then the last role I'll talk about is compliance. People hate on compliance so much and I don't get why. But what's the role of compliance? The role of compliance is to ensure the bank adheres to rules and regulations at the most basic level, and obviously depending on what country the bank is in, those rules and regulations can change depending on what transaction it is. They're just there to make sure the bank doesn't make a mistake, more or less. So in terms of pay, I have no idea what people in compliance make. If you work in compliance, drop a comment below and you want to share the figure. I have no idea what they make or what even a range would be. It would definitely not be as much as people that work in risk or treasury, but more than people that work in the big four, for sure. I think everyone earns more than the big four people. So I have no idea. Drop a comment below if you know what they make. In terms of subjects required, they tend to favor people that study law because it just makes sense. Law, rules and regulations, match made in heaven. So they tend to favor people that study law or financial crime or criminal justice. Those people usually land those compliance roles and it kind of makes sense. They're well suited for that kind of role. In terms of exit opportunities, this is more or less the worst one you can be in because you can't leave compliance once you start. You'd end up maybe moving to operational risk or some sort of risk function sometimes, but more times than not, once you start in compliance, you're stuck in compliance. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope you found that useful and I'll see you in the next one.